What is up, guys, and welcome to the View Show. I don't know what we're going to call this one, but this is going to be something we're doing after the matches just to make sure that you guys get a chance really to either in your views or to come and join in. The link is in the description above. So, hope you're doing well. Hope you got a chance to at least see the highlights of the match, or at least see the see the chat that has been going around over Twitter and social media about the game. So, quick summary for you guys who haven't yet seen the match or been hiding under a rock or whatever. It finished Newcastle United 2, Nottingham Forest 0, and Newcastle were the deserved winners, I have to say. They dominated the match. They boxed Forest into our own half for the majority of the match. And Forest just couldn't really find any rhythm to get themselves out and away from their own goal. Overall, we held out well for about 60 minutes, but it was coming. It was inevitable. The pressure was just you could just see it at some point. It was going to be too much, but it did take a worldy shot to break it down. So it is what it is. It's a start, but you would think Forest got relegated today from the reaction on Twitter, on the social media platforms, and everything else. And I think it's just the reason I've done the call today and not tomorrow night was just to calm everyone back down, to just bring us back and remind us that there's 37 games still to go. We've only played one game away from home. I would still argue not with our best team. And a team that, even if it was our strongest 11, still needs some time to gel and to build some chemistry up. So there's a lot still that needs to be done with this team. But let's get into it, guys. Who've we got in there? Stubbs, how you doing, bro? Right, think like this. We played crap, yes, but it's our first game as well. They need to get over it and focus on next week. And I think you're completely right. And reflecting what I was just saying there, it's a case of we're away from home at a club who some are saying are dark horses for top four, at a club that under Eddie Howe only lost to the likes of Man City and Liverpool last season at St James's, and at a Forest team who, after 23 years, there's gonna be a bit of that rabbit in their headlights. Where we end up, especially we saw it in the first 20 minutes, maybe just forgetting who we are, why we deserve to be here, and you know, it's one game. It's one game is what I'm gonna say. So it is worth just keeping that in mind. But I think we got to take lessons from it. And I listened to Steve Cooper's interview after the match, and he was very humble in what he said. And he was very gracious about how much Newcastle were the better team. I'm hoping that the players will take it well, and the reaction will be strong as we come to this place next weekend. But we can't be disheartened after one game. That Newcastle team will probably go and overturn a lot of clubs 3-4, 5-0 at some points during this season. But at the same time, I still feel that every team in the Premier, I mean, you saw Fulham today. And I hate Fulham, but I respect the attitude that they came out against Liverpool in. They basically said, we're not scared of you and we're prepared to play our game. We'll play our game, and if you can beat us, fair enough. And that's the attitude I wanted to see from the Forest players coming out today. But instead, it was a case of, we're going to sit back and we're going to see how long we can hold you off. And maybe we can get to 90 minutes holding you off with the odd lumped ball forward, the Hollywood pass, and pray that Brennan Johnson can get in behind. And I don't want to see that happening again. I want to see that Fulham mentality that they took into that Liverpool game. Now, yes, they were at home. They had the home crowd behind them. For me, I think we'll get the same response against West Ham. There's a bit of banter going on between us and West Ham, a bit of friction in the air between the two clubs. with the Jesse Lingard scenario. You could argue with the Maxwell Cornet scenario and a few other players as well. They wanted Mangala as well, don't forget. So I think the atmosphere is going to be electric come next weekend. It's a Sunday game as well, I believe. So we get an extra day's time to prep and get everything ready. We're also going to be getting some players, and whether or not they come in before the West Ham game, I don't know. I think they'll be in before the what do you call it? The Everton game. So let's catch up with a few of your chat messages. Zahir, feeling sad already, bro. Look, I get what you're saying, Zahir. I really do. It's okay to feel down, and I feel crappy as well on the inside, but I feel that way anytime Forest lose a match. I remember when we lost to Luton towards the end of last season. I didn't have a good few days after that. You just felt that maybe the promotion was slipping. But what I'd say to that, and for any of you guys who are feeling a bit down, just remember one thing. Where were we this time last year? Just kicking off our championship campaign. We'd already lost our first match. We were about to go 7 or 8 games, whatever it was, without getting a win. And then look what happened. The season is a long, long season, and we have to make sure that we can't just be, up and down based on every single match and react either up here, the world, everything is great, and then fall straight back down here if something or a game doesn't go our way. So we've got to be very balanced in terms of how we approach this. This is the toughest league in Europe, and we're part of it, but we've got to show everyone why we're part of it, the qualities that we have that make us deserving of this place. So I get you feeling sad, bro. I'm hurt on the inside as well, but we learn from it. As long as we learn from it, we move on and we focus on West Ham straight away. Get it out of the system and move on. Sorry I wasn't here. What we got? That's my mod. Let's bring these chats up here. Plus, we are very nervy, and why wouldn't they be? First game in Prem in how many years? Like, come on, there's going to be nerves. So we'll get rid of the nerves, and we'll be fine as the season goes on. Stubbs, you got the right attitude, bro. You really do. And I support and agree with your statements there. Hold on, this corner is just bugging the crap out of me. Let me move that. So yeah, to keep that attitude up. Look, we could go and lose to West Ham next week. We could go and beat them 3-0. Yeah. I think we're going to have to talk in a minute about the disconnect between the 3 units, the defense, midfield, and the attack. For me, that is something to definitely worry about. But let's catch up with these messages as well. David said, Newcastle have a well-established squad and know exactly how Eddie Howe wants to play them. Some of the Forest players are still getting to know each other. And that is a really important point. But at the same time, it's not a point that I want us to hide behind 3, 4, 5 weeks down the road, where people are still saying they need time to gel. They need time to gel. You can't in this league. It's not like the championship. In the championship, we lost our first 7 or 8 games. And then we went on a run and we got promoted. In the Premier League, you can't really risk falling behind too early in the season. And we've got a tough month of games. We got West Ham, Everton, Man City, and Spurs, I think, are our next 4 games. Correct me if I'm wrong. But the gelling, yes, it goes without saying. It needs to be done 100%. However, we can't hide behind that. And the players and the management have to understand that you're better off hitting the ground running quickly, playing good, aggressive, attacking football, and getting points on the board early. Every single point is going to count, be it if we're fighting in the bottom half of the league, the top half of the league, or wherever. I mean, look 1 point defined who finished in 4th place last season. I think 2 points defined who stayed up and who went down from the Premier League last season. Yeah, we know how many points defined us between us and Bournemouth last season as well. Every single point matter. Start of the season, mid-season, or end of the season. We've got to fight for him. So I do take your point, but I don't want it to be an excuse that Forest are using a month down the road. We got Jolly Ollie. How you doing, bro? Don't panic, folk. As the song goes, we're only just begun. That is true. That is true. But I understand the panic, or should I say the sadness, because for me, the thing that really, really, really ground my gears was the lack of balls. It really was. The defense were doing their job in terms of tackling, but then it was just long ball city when they could. It was bypassing the midfield and just hoping. It was more, inshallah balls, as I call them, over the top, hoping that Brennan Johnson would work some magic, get in behind, use his pace, etc. But this is against two absolute brick centre backs. I mean, I've seen them play a lot, but they looked really established, those Newcastle centre backs at the back there today. So, it is the beginning. It's one game. There's 37 to go. It's done now. Forest have kind of broken their duck. We know what it's all about. But we'll see where it goes. Let me just bring Twist into here. Yo, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there's a lot of despondent Forest fans in the chat, man. A lot of despondent Forest fans.
At the end of the
Our
day,
job to cheer them up. Even though you're not a Forest fan, you're going to help me do it.
I'm not a Forest fan, but you got to think of it realistically. You went to a Newcastle team that were playing brilliant football end of last year. They started this campaign at the end of last year. They got some real threats in St. Maximus. And for 65, 70 minutes, she kept a clean sheet and they didn't really have any clear-cut chances. The only problem I can see is that you didn't create enough.
Yeah.
Now, and you can also say they scored a worldie to break the duck. And if that hadn't gone in, then it might have been a different game. Might have been 0-0 and you've been pleased with the point away from home.
But it was one freaking hell of a strike, man.
Exactly. You're never going to see a strike like that every game. So. And
of course, it had to happen against Forest. It really did. But I think you've hit the nail on their head. We got the positives out of that game. It's for 60 minutes in our first game back in the Premier League. We weren't. You couldn't say we were holding our own, but we were somewhat comfortable. We kind of sussed out what Newcastle were doing. But you just can't sit back and let them do that for 90 minutes. The quality of the Premier League dictates that if you let people do that for that long, it's just eventually the law of averages says they're going to score. But we were away against the cauldron that is St. James's Park, the oil-rich barons. But I don't know, man. I don't know. Big boy saying Cooper out. Bro, have you literally lost your mind?
Really?
I mean, come on. Looked afraid and no desire to win. Cooper out before it's too late. I mean, big boy, if you want to come on the stream, the link, and anyone else who does, the link's pinned on the chat. If you want to defend those views, I'm pretty sure it's going to be met with a lot of disdain from the Forest fan.
All these signings coming in as well, and he kind of stayed with a few of the old guard in Surridge and who else was the other one that playing?
Well, you had from last season, you had Surridge playing.
Colback, that's the one I was thinking of.
Colback was in there, which I mean, he didn't have a bad game, but he's just not, like I said in the player ratings. The thing with Colback, he will give you what he is capable of. You know what I mean? Like that performance today for him was like a 9 out of 10. But in terms of what you need for the Premier League, it's like a 5 out of 10. It's not good enough.
Yeah, you need that.
And he's just reached his limit in terms of where he is. He's a good championship player. And then O'Brien, and the other thing I don't like is that you've got O'Brien, who's the better version of Colback, playing alongside a Colback, and they were getting sucked in too deep, which creates a bigger gap attack. And like Jesse, like let's talk about Jesse, and guys in the chat, let me know your thoughts on Jesse. I didn't think he had a good game at all. And I didn't think I wanted to see him take command of the attack, and he just didn't. Nor was he guiding those around him with his experience on it. And it kind of he just today felt like he was there making up the numbers.
He looked a little off the pace, I'll give you that. I mean, match fitness might come into that, but another player I don't know if you're worried about is Johnson. I saw him a few times coming in, trying to skin the fullback and get into the box, and he kept losing the ball. Now, is he good enough at this level? I'm not saying he's not good enough at this level, but it's going to be a culture shock for him this season, surely, coming against a lot
I
better
think
defenders.
I think with Johnson, he's about the right supply, and he wasn't provided that supply today. I only remember one chance where he was able to get in behind midway through the first half, where Williams played a nice ball over the top for him. He tried to outpace the defender. I think it might have been Shaw. I can't remember. It might have been Byrne. And they just used their experience and kind of held him off. And he wasn't able to get his head up and look. Surridge was in the box there waiting. I don't think Surridge is a starter for this team either. I don't know what you thought of his performance today. He had the best clear-cut chances. He had these two headers, and he should have put one away. They weren't the easiest of chances, but at this level, you know it, man. With your boys, Man U, if you don't put away some chances, sometimes you're only going to get one or two a match. And if you don't put them away,
one clear-cut one I'm thinking of where he crosses it in, it's almost a header back to the keeper. He needs to position himself better to aim that header and at least get something on and get it. He got it on target, but he had no power on it at all.
You got to stretch the keeper a little. It looked like a pass back, didn't it? It really did.
He looks, if I'm honest, it looks a little clumsy on the ball, a little awkward on the ball at times. I don't know. I think the Coops went for the safer option of playing him because he trusts him a bit more maybe from last year. Didn't like what Owoni was doing in pre-season. Maybe wanted to bleed him in slowly to the team. Next week, I think he'll go with Owoni there. West Ham at home, it's going to be a different game, different atmosphere. Forest fans are going to be up for it. You've got to have more of the ball next week.
I mean, we can't sit back at the City ground. The fans won't allow it. The only way it's allowed to happen is if we're hitting them with hard, quick counter attacks. So I mean, Forest are a counter-attacking team by default, by nature. But what I mean is that they have to counter-attack. Whereas in this match, it just felt like sit back, win the ball back, punt it back up the field. Sit back, win the ball back. The midfielders are too close to the defense. It's too risky to play the short pass. Let's try and pump it into the channel for Johnson to go and chase. We can't do that against West Ham. I think it will be a completely different game against West Ham at the next weekend. But I think there needs to be changes in that lineup. I'd be interested in what these lot in the chat are saying about that. So let me just bring up a couple of messages. Tio, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. Guys, if you wouldn't mind giving the video a quick like while you're here, while you're there just watching us babble away. And if you're not subscribed, just like Tia Bowen, please hit the subscribe button there as well. Let's have a quick catch up with some of these messages. So Stubbsy's saying, we have a game plan and I feel we didn't quite use it today. So Cooper will talk and we will use his game plan. We tried long balls, failed after fail. After a lot of fails, we should try something else. Yeah, the long balls they don't work from the defense into the attack. I like a pass. I don't mind. The ball I don't mind was the one we used to score against Valencia, where McKenna played a driven pass through the lines. Owoni sees it coming and is able to run in behind the Valencia attack. What I don't like is let's just clear it and try and push ourselves up the pitch because it's just going to come straight back to us. So I get what you're saying on that. I'm sure Cooper has a couple of game plans, but we'll see what happens there. Big Boy is saying Newcastle will be nowhere near the top 7. They have nothing going forward. I mean, bro, your opinions, I doubt a lot of people will agree with them in here.
I do think we need a few more players there. Newcastle should need a few more. They're looking at their bench today. I thought it looked a bit weak. Yeah. I feel like they need an upgrade on their striker. Callum Wilson will do a job, but he gets injured a lot, so they need someone there. And
I mean, he didn't trouble us too much apart from the goal. His movement for the goal was really good.
Yeah. And again, it was a good finish. I mean, you can't argue with that finish. You don't see that finish every week. So
yeah, I think what I took solace in was it was a worldy goal, and it was a clever finish for the second goal.
Are we giving Henderson clearance on that first goal? We're saying no.
I've had a look back at it, and he couldn't have covered his near post anymore if he tried. It was just an absolute rocket that went in, man.
Right in the corner, yeah.
Right in the corner, clip the post, in it goes. It's just, I mean, those are going to happen from time to time to the season during the course of the season. You just don't want it on the first freaking day, the first goal you concede to be one of those. And but overall, Henderson was man of the match for me from a Forest perspective. I'm surprised you didn't use him at Man U more, man. His distribution is so good, and he's confident. I'll give him it. He acts confident.
I mean, you have to be confident to come out with what he said in them statements the other day. If you say them stuff like that and then have a bad game or a bad start to the season, then you're in trouble. So he put pressure on himself by saying what he did. So he's obviously a confident kid, and he obviously wanted to play a lot of football last year, and he was promised so he didn't get at Man U. But the way things stand, I don't think he'll be coming back to Man U anytime soon.
Well, I wouldn't mind keeping him at Forest. I really wouldn't. All right, let's bring a few of these chats up. And guys, if you want to come in and give us your opinions on the Forest match, the link is pinned, I believe, to the chat. So just click on that link and we can bring you on and listen to your thoughts. And if we've got Newcastle fans in here, I'd love to hear from you as well. And any other Premier League fans, really, if you want to come in and tell us what you thought about your team's results, we're good with that. So let's have a look here. Ryan, what's Ryan saying? Cooper is a great manager, and let's say he's not ready for a Prem. He still worked hard to get used in the Prem, and he deserves a chance. There is no debate about Cooper going anywhere. Even if the worst were to happen and we got relegated, Cooper has earned the right to develop this team. You got to remember, Forest are 3 years ahead of their plan of where they wanted to be. So all these changes that are happening have happened at an accelerated pace to try and get us ready as quickly as possible. And if anyone can throw a team together quickly, it's going to be Cooper. He came in and inherited a team that was destroyed by Chris Hughton. And then with only a couple of signings, he used what he had to turn them around into a promotion team. So he's had an influence on these players that have come in. And these are the style of players that he wants as well. So we just got to give him time just to adapt.
One
just
game.
Like everyone else. Huh?
You can't judge anything on one game. Like
exactly.
The famous quote, you don't win anything with kids. And then what happened after that? First game.
Exactly. So he'll be fine. Are there any normal Forest fans that want Cooper out? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Hope Cooper will build the puzzle again. I want to cry too much if we get relegated again. Zahir, what Twist just said, man. What Twist just said. 1 game down, 37 to go. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, it's been an interesting weekend. I've seen a lot of the matches from today and obviously the Arsenal match yesterday. Most teams are looking pretty sharp, I've got to say. Even Southampton, who lost 4-1 today to Spurs, still took the lead against Spurs, still showed a bit of desire against Spurs. So it's going to be a competitive league. And there's going to be teams taking points off other teams, as in small teams taking or unexpected teams taking points off teams where you wouldn't expect it. Look at the Fulham-Liverpool result. Well, who had that down? Not only did it finish a draw, you could argue Fulham were unlucky not to win that match. They took the lead twice in that match against Liverpool. So this is the Premier League. Welcome to the Premier League, as they say. We're in for a roller coaster ride, but I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
One of the teams is always one of the promoted teams. Always the surprise package. First game of the season. It's got to have been Fulham this week. Hopefully, Forest turn it around and they'd be the surprise package. But apparently, Bournemouth played okay, but Villa dominated possession. They just couldn't break them down after they scored early. So
yeah, I saw the highlights of that. They scored from a corner goal for the first one, and then the equaliser came somewhere in the 80s as well.
An Everton game I just watched. I'm still putting them down as relegation in the relegation fight, to be honest. I mean, Chelsea didn't look impressive at all, to be honest.
Chelsea didn't look great, yeah.
And Everton didn't have nothing up front, literally nothing.
I've never seen a match with so much injury time at both ends of the pitch, both ends of the half. What the hell was that?
Really, nothing happened in it, but it went off like 110 minutes overall.
Bloody hell. And again, like, Everton didn't look great, but the scoreline was only 1-0.
Yeah, I think that was more on Chelsea's side than Everton's.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, who would have thought that Chelsea wouldn't go and win that one 3-0, 4-0 based on how Everton played last season. So no one can judge anything. I mean, you shouldn't even really look at a table until 4 games in. But what you don't want to be is 4 games in with not a good points tally against your name. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those ones. Now, I did jokingly tweet out earlier after the Fulham goal went in, Forest were ahead of Liverpool in the table. So, that kind of tells you when you should not be looking at the league table. So, Richard Holmes, he says, for me, it wasn't the fact we lost. That was expected. It was the nature of the loss. Way off the pace, spending far too long on the ball, giving the ball away too easily, etc. And I agree with what you're saying there, Richard. For me, what I would say is that game reminded me a lot of the Union Berlin game in pre-season. I saw a lot of similar traits where it was a bit like, it almost felt like some of these players have never spoken to each other, let alone know each other's names. And there's no anticipation of where the pass should be played, the ball being moved quickly, like you say, and things like that. And, that will come with time. But at the same time, we haven't got time just to wait for it to happen. So
I feel like the Forest players went in with the mentality of don't concede. We want to keep it as tight as possible for as long as possible. And it ended up just being backs against the wall for the first 65 minutes. But it's going to be a different story next week. You got to play completely different at home to West Ham. I mean, West Ham are more of a counter-attacking team anyway last season. They played a lot. They gave up a lot of possession to other teams. So you're going to have to step up that possession stats next week. You're going to have to start creating stuff and hopefully get some chances.
I think you're right in what you're saying. I feel like if you kind of, with hindsight, looking back at it, I feel like the message was choke them out. Let's see if we can hit them and nick a goal on the counter attack. If we can stay solid at the back, we can at least leave here with a point. If the ball drops the right way on the counter attack, we can hit them with a quick 1-0. So, but it didn't work out. And you're right, we can't go into that at home with that attitude. We've got to go in and go on the front foot and show. We spent nearly 100 mil, and I want to see the fruit of that labor on the pitch, and I just want to see that attacking side of it start to click, start to form triangles, start to not be scared to shoot. I just felt I don't know why, ever since the preseason, I just feel like there's this this fear of just taking a bloody shot, man. And like when they get the opportunity to shoot, like we saw with Surridge today with his headers, it's like a weak header or it's a weak shot. Or Lingard last week in the Valencia match, he wasn't scared to shoot, but the shots were dragged wide, or he was hitting them with his weak foot and not really testing the keeper.
You've got to bring it back to the fact that there's so many new players as well. How many new players are in that starting lineup today? Both wing backs, a centre back, midfielder. So you got at least 5.
Goalkeeper. It's easier to say who wasn't new.
Yeah.
So you had Surridge, Colback, Johnson, Worrell, McKenna.
So 6 new players.
I'm pretty sure that's it. 6 new players.
It's going to just take time. I mean, they've not even had the full pre-season together to figure out how they play and understand each other's game. So they've got a full week now of training up till when you play next Saturday, Sunday, whatever. That's going to help.
Sunday, yeah.
That should help a lot. I mean, what's your fixtures looking like after the West Ham game?
Everton away.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Then I think it's either Spurs or Man City. Let me just bring them up 1 second. All right, it's fixtures. So it's West Ham at home, then Everton away, then Spurs at home, then 3 days later Man City away.
Bit of a baptism of fire.
It's a tasty start, but then we go into a little run here where it's a little bit easier. We go Bournemouth, Leeds, Fulham, Leicester, Villa, Wolves, Brighton, Liverpool. So up until, you could argue, once we're through the Man City match, then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games where we should be competitive. And by that stage, we should also have the players up and ready and quote unquote gelling.
That's a long time away. That's after 5 games. Say you come out of that Man City game with 0 points, 0 points. That's not going to bode well. You need to be picking up points. You need to be picking up at least a draw against West Ham and Everton. You've got to be thinking you should be at least 2 points minimum.
Let me just bring these fixtures up. Let me just hold on. Let me share a screen. Let's just bring these fixtures up, right?
Make the City ground a place that people don't want to go.
So these are the Forest fixtures. I think the question I want to ask everyone is, where do you guys see the points here? Like, I want to run through this quickly. I've got a feeling we beat West Ham. I really do. There's just too much beef between us and the West Ham mob. With Jesse Lingard, probably another week sharper. Potentially, I think Forest take 3 points there.
Well, they've got Man City tomorrow, so I have a little bit more understanding about their lining up this season with the new signings and stuff. But West Ham went to a lot of places last season and got wins that you wouldn't expect them to.
I just feel we catch them. If Man City give them a good slap tomorrow, they're going to come on a bit of a downer.
Maybe. I'd be eyeing on the Everton game, though. The way I saw Everton play today.
Everton at Goodison is always a tough one, man. You know that as a Man U fan.
They do get on their backs, though. And if they'll be expecting to beat you, that should be like their banker home win for their fans. So
I mean, the good thing with that Everton match, you don't want to wish anyone injured, but Calvert-Lewin will still be out.
Yeah.
So I can see. Okay, let's just say we're looking between 4 and 2 points, something like that from those 2 matches.
Then you got Spurs and Man City. You go into them games with a bit of a free pass. I mean, I know you got Spurs at home, but Man City away, you're not expecting anything out of that. Spurs at home, you're not really expecting anything out of that. So you come out of that with a point on one of them games. That's a bonus.
What I will say is with the Spurs one, okay, yeah, I am putting my red goggles on. We used to always beat Spurs, man. They were a little ropey today at the start of their match.
Yeah, I think they played well though after that.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have Morgan Gibbs-White by that stage as well. So I don't know. But okay, let's just say we write off the Spurs one and the Man City one, right? So we're looking after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, Forest being on either 2 or 4 points.
Bournemouth at home. That is a must win.
That's now we go into the phase here. The next phase. These are must wins, man. There's like no element fair. We have to beat Bournemouth. Then we have to get something from Leeds.
Yeah, you're right. This is a nice patch you've got here. 4 or 5 games.
Yeah. We have to beat Fulham. Any of these that are at home are have to wins. Leicester's a derby.
Your 6 games here from Bournemouth all the way to Wolves are all winnable.
Oh, I'd say maybe even the Brighton. It's away. So well, we'll see what Brighton look like tomorrow once they play you lot.
Leicester derby match, that could be an interesting one.
Yeah, and Leicester, obviously we played them last season and slapped them 4-1. So I know it's a different team, it's a different time, but Leicester for me, man, they're just not looking great. They're not looking great in terms of nothing in. What's his face has come out today and said he's not getting anyone in. There's still talk of Maddison going. There's still talk. Well, Schmeichel's gone. Their Tielemans hasn't been resolved. But
Who do they play this weekend? I can't remember who they play.
Who have Leicester got?
Let me see. Oh, Brentford at home tomorrow, 2:00.
Yeah, I won't be watching that one. Or maybe I will. But yeah, guys, what do you think about this little patch of games here? And are any Forest fans ready to come on and have their say, or are you all still too depressed? Hopefully we've tried to cheer you up a little. Daniel says, doesn't matter about have to wins when we spend most of our time huddled around our goal. I mean, Daniel, that will come. Look, you're judging it on one game. We've got to let this one go, but we've got to take
this. Do you think there's any possibility that Cooper would change the whole formation to a back 4 and change his whole plan that he's had for the last year basically?
I mean, he switched it today to a 4-3-3, but that was when we were 2-0 down. And to be honest, that's when we looked our most threatening. He brought Mighton on the right-hand side and put Johnson out on the left. But it was too little too late, man. It was too little too late.
Do these players fit into a back four is the question. I mean, you've invested a lot in your fullback, wing backs. They're attacking wing backs. Would they be able to shuffle back to a fullback
The thing
position?
is, Nico Williams is more used to a back four. Tuffalo is more used to a back five. So Williams can probably switch between one and the other. I don't know about Tuffalo.
I think the midfield will benefit a lot from that. You'd be able to get an extra man in there, so you'd be able to play O'Brien, Manganga, and then plus one other callback, whoever he wants to play there. You'd have a bit more control in the midfield, at least.
Well, you could probably say you could put Lingard in there.
I won't put him in a 3 unless you're playing it as a
diamond.
As a diamond,
as a triangle.
Kind of like Man U play. I mean, Lingard played out on the wings on both flanks for us, so you could put him out on one side, Johnson on the other, and then a 1-y through the middle if you wanted to.
I don't know if 4-3. I think a 4-2-3-1 could work as well. Where you're putting a Mangala and an O'Brien as the two sitting in the double pivot. You then put Johnson out on the right, Jesse in behind a 1-y, and then I don't know who on the left, maybe a Mighton or a Morgan Gibbs White if he were to come in, like out on that left. Then you're suddenly looking at a more bodies in that midfield. Which
you're not really blessed with that many like actual wingers, though, are you? Like people that play in that position.
We've got people who can play in that position in terms of a Johnson and a Mighton. That's about it, really. That's about it.
His whole transfer window has been about signing people for this formation, so the likelihood is he's probably not going to change after the one game.
I don't think he's going to change it yet, but what worries me is having 3 at the whole 3-5-2, or call it the 5-3-2, whichever way you want. Problem when it becomes a 5 is it forces you to sit deep.
That's the thing. The way these top teams use these 3 at the back and use the wing backs is they push the wing backs high up, which forces the other team to have to pull their defenders, their fullbacks back. So you're always pressuring them, and it's usually with teams that have a lot of possession. Forest is going to give up possession, like you said, it's just going to turn into a back 5, and then you just constantly have the pressure on you.
Yeah, and then when that happens, you're playing, and you could see it today. You're playing with a 2 in midfield against. In like Newcastle, basically were overrunning the midfield with a 3, and then the centre backs almost pushing in to the midfield to make it a 4. You know, they were at times putting the centre backs one in front of the other, where the centre back was playing as the CDM, Willock was getting up, so was Joe Linton, and Bruno was pulling the strings, and that becomes a 4-on-2 in the middle, and that's a battle you're never going to win just on sheer numbers. So I get what he did when he took one of the centre backs out, but he either should have rolled the dice earlier to do that, when even at 0-0 or at 1-0, just to say, okay, we've gone a goal behind now. We've been stuck in our own box. We need another body in midfield to be able to help us push out a bit. But to do it at 2-0 was too late. The game was done.
When you think about previous seasons, you think about Brentford last year, you think about Leeds the year before, these teams that have come up with their own identity, their own style of play, they're willing to go and play their style of play against these big clubs, go attacking, they're not afraid of them. That's the kind of teams that have stayed up and done well in the Premier League.
And that's how Fulham looked today.
Exactly. You can't come into the Premier League and be scared. I felt Forest looked scared today.
Yeah. And they looked scared in a couple of their pre-season friendlies as well, where scared is probably too strong a word, but you kind of almost say disinterested in a couple of them, you know? It's just weird. But let's have a quick look at the chats and see what they're saying. Daniel Harris says Forest are shitting themselves, to be honest, not the usual play we see from them. The rabbit in headlights, that did spring to my mind watching that game. Jolly Ollie says it was pressure. That's all. We will conquer. We will conquer. We will learn, and we'll move forward from it. It will come. It will come. Fair play, fam. Still early days, says Daniel Harris. We should be playing with no fear at this stage. And I think that's probably the first comment Big Boy said that I do agree with. If all these teams are writing us off and they're saying that, Forest are bankers to go down, blah, 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 then play without the fear. If we go down, well, they've all said we're going down, but at least have a go. That was the most disappointing thing for me, man. You can't come off away from that match and think, man, if this had gone right, we had this great chance that nearly went in. It was a case of I can't even, and I'll defend Forest best I can. I can't even say without it'd be a lie if I said that anything but Newcastle deserved that win. And Cooper came out and said it. The better team won. And no one can really argue it.
Yeah, the last 10 minutes was where they showed the most impetus to go forward when he changed the formation.
Too late.
It's too little too late at that point.
Too late. What I want to know though is, and Vicky has raised literally what I was about to just talk about. Tuffalo, Lingard, and Johnson were rubbish today. Hush. Guys in the chat, is she fair though? Is she right in what she's saying? I think Tuffler, I said it in my match preview, and I also talked about him in the Valencia match. I found in the Valencia match he was really good going forward, but out of position defending a few times and left McKenna a bit exposed. Today I didn't notice him. I think he was playing more in our own half, just like everyone else was, and couldn't find a way to break forward. Now, it's hard for one person, obviously, just to break up the pitch, but there was no even real attempts coming from that left-hand side. And Lingard, I'll agree. Lingard's, that's the worst I've seen him in, the 2 games we've had. I saw promising signs in Valencia. I'm hoping it's down to lack of match sharpness, maybe a bit of lack of match fitness. Because remember, he's had 12. I mean, how many appearances did he make for you last year, Nick? He must have a couple of sub bench stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, he didn't play hardly at all towards the end. His probably last match for us, probably about March, if I had to guess.
Bloody hell. But yeah, Johnson was rubbish today. I mean, I can't.
He looked lost for me. He looked lost today. Like he didn't really know what he was meant to be doing. Was he meant to be making runs in behind? Was he meant to be holding the ball up and feeding other people? He just seemed to not have a set target on what he wanted to do in the game. And when he did do stuff, he kind of messed it up with a few runs into the box. I don't know. He's still young, though, isn't he? How old is he? He's in like 20, isn't he?
20, man.
So he's still learning. I mean, he's only been around. He's only had one hot season, to be fair, and he's going straight into the Premier League now.
I think for me, with Johnson, is he can't do it by himself. As talented as he is, and I'll defend him. I got freaking Johnson goggles on, man. And I mean, we saw his dad playing, man, back at the City Ground, yeah. So I feel connected to that family, man. I remember Johnson with that goal against Ipswich, where he nicked it from behind the keeper and rolled it in. So I'll always back him. But what I will say is that I don't think he got any support at all today, at all. And anytime he did get the ball, what was he meant to do with it? That Newcastle defense really surprised me how strong they were, man. They were like freaking 2 giant ladders at the back as well. And even though he was faster than them, you can tell they got that kind of prem eye where they were just pushing him into channels which would annul his pace, using their bodies to get across him to stop him from being able to do what he wanted to do. And that was enough. And he's going to have to learn how to fix that quite quickly. You know, so
Prem I mean, you don't like this saying Premier League proven, but looking at all your transfers you've done this summer, you spent a lot of money, which is very ambitious. But majority of them, I think all of them, except for Lingard, have had 0 minutes in the Premier League.
Henderson as well.
Would you have been more inclined to get a few more signings that, even though they're a bit older, a bit past it, maybe they've got that Premier League experience?
I'd still say no. And the only reason I say no is I still feel with the few games under the belt from these, the German league players, from the likes of O'Brien, maybe Tuffalo as well, once they've had a couple of games under their belt and they've become used to it, yeah, it will become more normal to them, yeah. And I think the biggest thing that would accelerate it would be a win against West Ham. if they could get that first win under the belt with a good performance, a good attacking performance. I'm not saying go stuff West Ham 5-0, yeah, but at least show the desire. And I go back to Fulham again. Fulham came against Liverpool and we're like, we're not scared of you. You're probably going to beat us, but we're not scared of you. And look at the result. And that's what I want to see. So maybe we could do with 2 Prem proven, I hate that phrase, players in there just to add some experience. But the 2 we have are disconnected because you got Henderson in goal and then you got Lingard playing in cam. You got a whole defensive line between them. You got the whole the main midfield line, and then you're going to come to the next one. The only other one we've got who's got Prem experience would be Cook, but he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
And
I think where you need one mainly is up front. Like you need like a Wilson, if I'm honest. I think a Wilson, someone like that. I can't think of someone who'd be available, but someone like that.
What about Dennis from Watford? He had a year under his belt last year.
I'm thinking like a proven goal scorer, someone that could hold the ball up a bit better, maybe bring other people into play. There's been a bit older, a bit more experience in the Premier League.
I'll tell you who fits that profile and has a little bit of Prem experience is Keenan Davies. No, Keenan Davies. No, not Cavani. David, you liked Davis last year, man. His hold-up play, his power runs with that. His big problem is that his hamstrings are like cheese strings. And he's just always he's always pulling that hammy, man. But I don't know. And I bet I'm going to ask these guys, would you guys take Keenan Davis and do you think he would work well? Let's ask that question now. But let's have a quick look at some of the other messages. So Jason Brown saying, Lingard is in it for the money. Henderson was arrogant in his interview, not the personalities Forest need. Newcastle schooled them. Watch the highlights and look at the stats. Lingard isn't in it for the money because West Ham offered more money. Henderson had a fantastic game today and he's had a fantastic preseason. Was he arrogant in his interview? Some would say yes. I would say he was confident. Are they the personalities Forest need? Well, if they're going to show leadership credentials, then I'm all for it. And I've seen the highlights and I've seen the stats on that. Daniel says Johnson was a great goal scorer last season. I don't know. Think this was a shot of reality for us. I think we're looking too much into one game against, I'll say it again, a team in Newcastle that put together the 3rd most points in the second half of last season, only behind Liverpool and Man City. I see it as a positive. I would have even been happy with a 1-0 loss. If we had lost to a wonder goal, 1-0, I would have been like okay with it. I will also ask you lot this, and this will probably show are we fickle or not. If Forest had held out for a 0-0 result, would anyone in here be saying anything other than what a great point away at St. James's Park? Or would we be analysing it properly and saying we got lucky to get a point at St. James's Park, we showed no adventure, blah, blah, blah. I think the majority of people here would be saying, what a great point away at St. James's Park. So to an extent, I can understand the tactics Cooper went for. First game, let's try and squeeze out 1 point. Maybe we hit them on the counter attack. But you can only fall on that argument if you go away and get the point. And he didn't do that. So it's a little depressing, not going to lie. Orzel says, would Spence have made a difference or would we have been more exposed in defense? That's a question and a half right there. That really is. Does anyone know if he got any game time for Spurs today? I don't think he started, did he?
I don't think he came on either. Not that I'm aware of.
Spence will always give us an attacking option, or always did give us, should I say, an attacking option. But there are plenty of times where Worrell would give him earfuls for not getting back or being, not quite at the races in terms of positionally, defensively, etc. He also wasn't the best crosser of a ball. I mean, he was okay, but wasn't the best. And for me, would he have made a difference? I think I would go more with I think we would have been more exposed in the defense with Spence in there. It's a good question, though. It's a real good question. And I still love Spence, and I would take him back tomorrow But I've thought Williams actually had a decent game today. Even though he got booked early on, he still plugged away and played quite well.
All right, here's a
Jace,
question then. Before you do that, would MGW made a difference today?
Yes. Because he's not scared to take the ball, man. He's not scared to grab that ball.
Who would have been out for him?
Colback.
So you'd have slotted him in a central midfield.
You know what? All right, if I'd started that team that he started with, I'd have switched Jesse Lingard for him and played him in the cam position.
You want to put
look, you got to give me, right? I still said when we signed Jesse Lingard that I like the signing, but if I still had the choice, I'd take MG Dub over Lingard because he's young, he's hungry, and I've seen him play a lot, and he's got a lot to offer. But I'm not saying I don't want Lingard. Now we've got Lingard, obviously I'll back him. But Morgan Gibbs-White, he's just got something about him that will work. He's got the no fear factor. I think that he could just really get into teams against
today for Wolves.
Huh?
I wonder what he did today for Wolves. He
didn't do much. Apparently, he didn't play great. Wolves lost 2-1 to Leeds. I don't know if that's good for Forest or bad for Forest. I know him not scoring is good for Forest because it doesn't add another 20 mil on his price tag. But I don't know, man. He's still got to come. Jason said Lingard wasn't great, but he was involved in a couple of the only positive forward running moves. Lingard had the best chance of the match when O'Brien played him through and he shot across goal. He should have shot near post, but Shah was there and he's a fantastic defender and was able to block it. Ben says, you're right. We need to be balanced with balanced expectations of what we can achieve. Love the banter on top 4 stuff, but we all need to reset expectations. I mean, there should be no football fan from any club, not just Forest, who before a ball is kicked isn't filled with expectation, excitement, and you could argue delusionment as well. It's like everyone's starting on 0 points. You've seen a few signings that have excited you. You might as well, in your mind, we're fans. We're allowed to flip-flop as much as we want. We're allowed to make the craziest predictions that we want. As long as we back the team when they're out there, I've got no problems with it. To reset the expectations after one game is too soon. It's too soon. We just got to see how how it all crumbles over the next couple of games, and we got a tough couple of games. NFFC Mart says, end of the day, it took 2 class goals to beat us. Just need to create chances. Now that's a balanced opinion, Mart. That's a balanced opinion that I respect. Wonder goal and a cute finish from Wilson was enough to finish the game. Now, don't get me wrong. Newcastle really should have come away from that match thinking we could have put them to the sword 3-4-0 quite easily. But at the same time, you can argue that Forest did defend hard. They just didn't do the rest that was required after the defending side of things. So
I'll give them credit for the defending. I mean, how many corners did Newcastle have? 10 plus corners. Yeah. They were whipping crosses. Trippier, Taggart was whipping them in. And they didn't really do anything from them. So the defensive side of it, I think the back three worked fine. It's just translating that into being more creative up top.
Yeah, it's and what I'd like to know from these guys is I thought Niakata was decent. I really did. And he's got the pace in the middle that we're going to need. I'd rather see him on the left side, if I'm being honest. But there was a lot of stick going on for him at Twitter, especially from the Newcastle fans saying we wanted to sign him. And after seeing him, I'm glad we didn't. I didn't think he had that bad a match. But I don't know. Mark Hill says, what's your obsession with MG Dub? Do you think it stands for Morgan Gibbs Wolverine? I'm on commit. I'm his agent, bro. If he comes, I'm set to make a good couple of mil. So I'll keep pushing the agenda. I will. It's just, but I don't look. I'll say this, right? If it's not Morgan Gibbs-White, Hussam Aouar would be a signing out of this world at 15 mil euros. Now, Twist is a Man U fan. I guarantee you'd take him, wouldn't you, Nick?
I do rate this guy. I mean, mainly from FIFA, but still. Apparently, he didn't have a great season last year. That's why
Yeah,
Price
but he's
is
only the reason his price is so low. He's got 1 year left on the contract.
1 year left in his contract. I read somewhere he didn't have the greatest season last year, but I think he's still young. He's only like 23, 24.
Yeah.
He's the kind of player that you need in there. But is he too similar to what you've got? Is I'm thinking, because you've got people. They're O'Brien, you've got Manganga. They're in the
he's a level above, man. He's a level above. He can take the ball, progress it forward, run with it, and he's got a shot on him.
But that price though is definitely worth a go.
15 mil. I mean, you're talking about
That's
what?
Euros,
13 mil pounds?
Exactly.
Because that's 50 mil euros.
Yeah.
Jack's raised a very good question here. Would Ryan Yates have made a difference? 100%.
What is Yates?
Yates is a box-to-boxer. He gets those key goals as well, man. I've always found with Yates is Forest score a goal, you suddenly look up and you're like, bloody hell, Yates, you're in the right place. What a great header, or from a corner or from a dead ball cross or something like that. He has a tendency to lose the ball, but he's got that desire and he's got that hunger and the fire. And he's a local lad. He's brought up through the academy and he's got a presence as well. He's tall. I think Yates probably goes back into the first team as well.
Did he play a lot last year then?
Huh?
Did he play a lot last season?
Oh yeah, him and Garner with the double pivot.
Okay.
So we had him and Garner, and then you had like a Zinkanega in front of them. So I think Yates makes a difference. But I still don't think, and I'll go back to what I said in my player rating, I don't think Cooper knows in this formation who the best two CMs would be. Because you're looking, and I'll open this up to the guys in the chat. You got Yates, you got O'Brien, you got Colback, you got Mangala, you've got, you could put Cafu in there if you wanted. But then you got links to like Awara, MG Dub. We've got Lingard in the cam position if you like, so you can separate it from there. It's like there's almost too many CMs that are slightly similar with slightly different traits in there. And how do you pick the two from that? And out of all of those, there's not enough who have got maybe 5 to 10 goals in them for the season. There's a lot who can break play up and progress the ball forward. But out of all of those, I'd say Yates has probably got the most goals in him out of those ones.
The fact that he keeps going back to Colback, is it because he wants someone in there with a bit of bite in the tackle, getting in one stuff? Might not be the best of the ball. But if you look at that kind of player to partner someone with, then that's not going to be Aurora, and that's not going to be Morgan Gibbs-White, is it? They're not going to take...
I, for the life of me, can't see Colback being a starter in this team. I just feel he's waiting for Mangala to hit full fitness after his move, which I think he is fully fit anyway. Yates is injured. And I still think he's looking at 1 or 2 more midfielders to come in with a bit of creativity on them. I think realistically, he's going to go Yates and O'Brien away from home and maybe Mangala and Yates at home once Yates is fit. I think for next week, he has to go Mangala and O'Brien in the middle. He can't go Colback again. He can't. Like I said, Colback didn't play bad. He's just not got the talent enough to take it further forward. Nolsey's saying Yates always pops in the right position. Exactly what I was saying, bro. He just pops up. He gets that tall-ass frame of him onto a header, scores a key goal. I mean, at the end of the day, he was the one who pressured Colwill to put the ball into the back of the net in the final because he was up there. So Yates isn't scared to get forward. So I feel Yates has an important role to play that. Alexander says Yates is the English McTominay. No way. No way. No chance. Adam says, we lost 2 good goals. It's only the first game. I'm not worried. We'll be okay. And we definitely missed Yates today 100%. But we will beat West Ham next Sunday. I like that attitude. When's Yates back? I think he's probably about 2 weeks away from being back and back to full fitness. I don't know if he should have played that Notts County game. It's probably slightly too soon. The problem with Yates is he always tells everyone he's fit because he just wants to play. And yeah, you could say that's a good attitude, but at the same time, he's got to be careful by saying things like that he's not exposing himself to coming back too early and being out for longer than he should be. So Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there, Adam, as well. Daniel says also, why the fuck are they playing Mangala as a sub? I don't think Cooper thinks Mangala was match fit. I think Mangala will start definitely at West Ham against West Ham with O'Brien in the middle. What did you lot think about O'Brien's performance today? Again, I've had a few comments saying, nah. I thought he was really good and a kind of 7 out of 10 performance for me from him. Mark says, from listening to the match today, Niakata was the real rabbit in the headlights for the first 15 minutes and then really started to learn about the Prem. So Niakata is an interesting discussion point because his natural position is left centre-back in a 3, where he can then push the ball out and run forward with the ball. He tried to do it once in, I think it was in the second half, and got caught up with it a bit, but we got away with it. And I think there still is a debate to be had of, do you put Niakata out on the left side and McKenna into the middle? Or do we need another centre-back? I don't know. I had a few comments earlier saying Worrell and McKenna are too slow for the Premier League. I don't agree with that necessarily, but do we need that extra cover? We've got Cook there, who's definitely too slow for the Premier League, but has Premier League experience. Niakata is going to be one of our signings of the season. I've got full faith in him coming good. My only debate with him is, do you switch him and McKenna around, or leave them as they are? Jason adds a really good point. Newcastle got rid of Colback years ago, not good enough. And to add to that point, don't forget how crap Colback was when he first came to Forest. It wasn't until last season that the Forest fans turned back in his favour. But I haven't forgotten the seasons before it with him. And yes, he was willing to put, himself on the line, play out of position and everything. But I got nothing against him apart from he's not good enough. He's not good enough. Out of Reach says, first game back, home game will defy our season for sure. Also need time because of all the players brought in. Time is key, but time is not a luxury we have in this league. You can't get too far behind. Zilboy says, come on, you guys. Would you rather be playing Millwall on Saturday or West Ham? It's only the first game. Very good point. Someone in the live stream earlier when we were doing the watch along did actually say they missed the championship, which cracks me up a little. I must admit, I wasn't expecting to see that message first game of the season. But yeah, I don't know, Nick.
Can I give a shout out to the Forest set piece coach? He had an idea and they went with it. I'll give it to him. It took courage. It looked stupid. It didn't work. But another day, it might have been genius.
Have you guys seen the one corner we got?
Describe it if they haven't seen it.
For those of you who didn't see it, right? Forest got eventually, I think it's like, what was it, about the 60th minute, we got our first corner. And I was just looking at it, and there was not a single Forest player in the box. And I think it was, I'm going to say Williams took the corner. I can't remember who it was. And then suddenly you just saw like 7 red shirts running in. It looked like they had gone back to the halfway line and were told, someone had a starter gun, fired the gun and told them go. Because by the time they got into the box, they looked shattered.
That's the thing. The timing was all off. By the time they got in the box, it was in the goalkeeper's hands and he was throwing it.
And the corner went straight into the keeper's hands. And he didn't have to move like an inch for the ball to get there. It was absolutely hilarious. And, you don't want it to be hilarious, but it was quite funny to see. Spoonie is in here, who is a Toon fan. Good to see you guys back in the Prem. Your fans at St. James's Park were great. Good luck for the rest of this season. Thank you, Spoonie. Good luck to you guys too as well. I think you're one striker short of putting up a good fight for the European places, bro. So good luck to you this season. And the fans, of course, they were great. They are always, always great there. Alexander says, I think 7 is fair for O'Brien. I think O'Brien's an interesting one because he breaks up the play. He's got a good pass on him. He did have a couple of loose passes now that I remember back to the first half where he went to play it out wide to Tuffalo, I think it was, and literally put it out for a throw-in. But is he going to offer us enough in terms of, if we're looking at him as a box-to-box player, is he got enough quality to maybe pitch in with 4 or 5 goals, maybe 5 or 6 assists as well throughout the season? I don't know. I think he can. But I think he needs this partnership in the middle of the park is going to be huge, and Cooper has to get it right with whoever plays alongside him. So it'll be interesting to see. NFFC Mart says O'Brien and Nico in spells were the only ones who carried the ball forward well today. I'd agree with that. What did you lot think about Tuffalo, man? I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to Omar Richards getting fit. Tuffalo, it was a bargain and we had to go for it for 2 mil. We got no cover at all. I mean, it's better than putting Cole back at left back. But I still think he's adjusting. I do still think he's adjusting. Alexander says Colback's best position is probably left back. I think his best position's on the bench.
Yeah, left back on the bench.
Yeah. Mark then says overall, Cooper said it. We looked like we lacked in confidence in our style of play. Yeah, and I think, to be honest, I would also add to that, it looked like we were lacking in an understanding of the formation and the way the players were playing together, which goes back to the pre-season, where if I had to be critical of Cooper, I felt too many times the likes of Cafu, Taylor, and the kids were getting too much game time over people who would be fighting out for the first team squad. So I don't know, but those are my thoughts. Jack says, how far will we go in the cup competitions? Hopefully we go out in the first rounds that we enter them in on both of them. For me, the full focus of this season has to be Premier League. If Coops wants to put a youth team out for the FA, I don't care about the FA Cup, nor do I care about the League Cup. As if he wants to put a youth team out for both of them, would you argue in my thought here, Nick, that we have to just fully focus on the Premier League?
I mean, you've actually got, when you think about it, quite a decent depth. In certain positions, you've got depth. I won't say you've got tremendous depth up front and your attacking side of it, but I think even if we're a half hybrid reserve team, you'd be able to put a decent team out, which would get you maybe around a few rounds. I feel like,
it depends who we come up against. If we're coming up against, a second league team or a freaking conference league team like Derby or something, you put the youth players out. If you get maybe a Premier League team or a decent championship team, maybe you blood half your first team who have struggled a bit, maybe lacking in fitness, and use the cup competitions as a way to sharpen them up a little. I think that's how I'd go with it. Guys, please don't forget, while you are here, to like the video. And if you are new, subscribe to the channel. We'll be going on for another 10-15 minutes or so. And if anyone wants to come on and share their opinions, the link is pinned to the chat above there. So we're only on 21 likes. What are you lot doing? Come on, hit the like button. Hit the like button if you think Forest are going to at least survive this season. Let's start with that. If you're a Forest fan in here and you think they will survive, give the video a quick like. Look at this one, Nick. We had a corner, says Daniel. Bro, you have to see the corner. I think it's on Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Did you send the link? I've got to share it with you guys. I really do. It's give me a second. Let me find it for you. Hold on. 2 seconds. Let me just grab it. Because the computer's just going in freaking slow-mo. All right, thank you. Let's share this screen.
But it was so weird because on the camera there, like there's literally...
Hold on, let me just mute it. Hold on. So, boys, have a look at this, right? As you can see...
Who's that walking away? Newcastle?
I can't tell. It's a bit fuzzy. You can see there are no Forest players at all in the box here. Let's play it through.
And then he fully goes out of shot. There's literally
he's out of shot. So right now, Newcastle are thinking, what is going on here?
So confused, man.
And then suddenly the start of the gun goes, and in they come, and the ball is whipped in, and the keeper just grabs it. It's an interesting corner, to say the least. All right, let me catch up with a couple of these. Adam says Lewis O'Brien was one of our best players and would rather lose to Newcastle than lose to Charlton in League One, like the team up the A52 today. Did they lose to Charlton in the end? Unlucky. I'm surprised they're still in business. Solo says, Newcastle fan, how you doing, bro? In the Prem, you need to have a high work rate and concentrate for 90 minutes. To stay up, you need to win your home games. Anything away from home is a bonus. That is true. Home games will be the make or break of everything this season. I gotta say, bro, what an absolute wonder goal Shah scored for you guys today. It's absolute bullet. Now, this is a good point. Freuler might be coming in soon on a permanent, so something positive. He would be someone who can get the ball and move it forward for us. So he could be an important player. But I think the right player we need, MG Dub, yes, I'll not stick on that. But Awar, I'm now looking at Awar with that 15 million euro price tag and thinking it's too good a deal just to miss out on. Daniel Harris says, to be fair, a lot of the lads are adjusting. Forest usually are a great attacking club. Agreed. It will take a bit of time. And Jason Brown, Toon fan here, was at the game today. Forest had nothing to offer except the passion of their fans. They were brilliant. Great to have you back, but come together and stay where you belong. Well, we belong in the Premier League, bro. We'll be rubbing shoulders with you again. I think the reverse fixture at the City Ground, we're going to see a much different, much more cohesive Forest team there. Vicky says, Marcus Tavernier was brilliant for Bournemouth today. Don't say that, Vicky. Don't say that. Not in front of Twist as well.
I told you that kid's good, man.
It could have worked at Forest. What did they end up paying? 12 mil for him?
Yeah, something like that.
Pretty cheap, but again, not Prem proven. Flyer One, Newcastle fan here. It's really good to see Forest back in the Prem. Hope it's a good season for you. On Colback, when he was at Newcastle, I always thought he was honest, hard-working, just not Prem level. Flyer, that's my exact thoughts on him. He does what he can work within his abilities to the max of his abilities, but the max of his abilities isn't Prem standard. And I completely agree with you. And good luck to you guys on the rest of your season.
So he's McTominay, basically.
What?
Is your McTominay then, basically?
Silverware says, James Brown's, that's rich. You forget you guys got relegated a few seasons back. Oil money saved you. I think the Newcastle fans are forgetting. Were they not bottom of the league for quite a while in the early parts of last season when they tagged out Arsenal?
Yeah, Christmas, they were favourites to go down the league.
Well, wasn't there so much banter about they're going to be the richest club in the world in the championship? You know, I do remember that. So... okay, a couple more messages. David says, Forest aim is not to win the EPL this season, but to stay up. It will take time, and the struggle is all part of the sport. I mean, you have to look at it like this, right? Forest needs to win. If we win, say, 12 games this season, 12 times 3 is what? That will give us...
36.
Blank. Huh?
36.
36 points from 12 wins. You're then looking at 4 draws. You could then say 11 wins with 7 draws to get to the 40-point mark. There's still a lot to do. Out of those 12 wins, Forest will have 20 games. Even if you discard the top 8 and say, can Forest then win maybe 10 games at home against the bottom half of the league teams? You know, there's a lot of stats and a lot of numbers you can crunch. And then will we pick up a few cheeky wins away from home? I most definitely think we will. So let's not, we won't start playing Moneyball yet with the league, but we got to see. And the West Ham game is going to be interesting because the West Ham are not a club to be taken lightly at all. So we'll see how it goes. Andrew says, let's not be down. Hope it'll be a different game against West Ham. It will be a different game. How can I describe it to you? I'm trying to think of an analogy that would make sense. It's like I'll tell you what it's like, right? For any of you guys who play golf, right? I don't know if you do or you don't, but both me and Twist play golf. Now, I've played golf, and especially in a few courses in Nottingham. Nick, which was that course where they've got those stands around the start? It's the one just going out of West Bridgeford towards the A1. You remember the one I'm talking about, don't you?
I think so, yeah.
They got like stands all around the first tee, yeah. And I remember we were playing there, and we're average golfers at best, right? And there was loads of people just sitting there watching, and you're like, boys, what are you doing here, staring at me? And you're standing over your tee shot with the driver in hand, and suddenly you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you can't even bring yourself to swing your arms back. You hit that shot, you hit a bad one, of course you do. But then you get down the course, away from the prying eyes of that first stand, and then you hit your iron in for a lovely approach into the tee. So once you've hit that initial shot, what I'm saying is you've done it, you've realized the world hasn't ended, and then you just dust yourself off, walked out over to your next shot, hit it, and continue with the game. So that's why I think it's done now. Forest have hit that first tee shot. They sliced it. Definitely got a lot of slice on it. Yeah. But it's ended up in the rough, but it's not in the thick rough. It's just on the first cut now. Let's see how their next approach shot is when it comes to West Ham on Sunday next week. Oh God, David, we still have Lyle Taylor to unleash. Let's move on. Let's move on from that comment. Sola says, I think a keeper was solid except for the 2 goals. It's first game of the season. Keep believing you'll be okay. Thank you, Solo, for that. I don't think there's much he could have done for either goal, bro. That first one was an absolute rocket launcher. Rocket launcher. All right, guys. So in closing, the thoughts for me is I just wanted to get on here and calm everyone down. I didn't like what I was reading on social media. I think there's a few Forest fans, not all, who have waved the white flag and said, we can't do it. Don't be in that group. Remember, I'm still saying top 4 for Forest. I'm still saying it because until it's mathematically not possible, and then I'll readjust my thinking on it. But stay positive. You don't have to be as positive as me, but kind of just stay with the boys and understand that there is no team in the Premier League's history, apart from Arsenal, who went an entire season undefeated. We didn't go to Newcastle and lose 5-6-0. It was only 2-0. Southampton lost 4-1 to Spurs today. You don't see Southampton fans, well, you may do, saying we're down, we're relegated. They've seen their team in this position. Didn't they lose 9-0 to you last season or the season before?
Southampton. Yeah. Season before, yeah. And
they still survived. And they still stayed up. One result doesn't define a whole season. So don't start going to the extreme of I'm done with the season. It's over. I'll see you in the championship again next year. That's not the case. Let us have 4, 5, 6 games. And even if we're going to lose a few of them, if we're seeing progression with the chemistry and the fluidity and all that within the team, then we've got a shot. So, there we go, Jolly Ollie. That's what I want to see. Top 5, bro. Top 5 I'll take right now. Yes, it would be outside my top 4 prediction, but I'll take top 5 now. Swervit says, could have easily been 5-0 like. Yeah, but it wasn't. It could have been 1-0 to Forest if Surridge has sunk his header into the net instead of into the ground in front of him. It's all ifs and buts. The facts are it ended up 2-0. And the facts are that it wasn't a mauling. Yes, it was in terms of possession. Yes, it was in terms of lack of chances we created. But we've got that monkey off our back now and we're up and running. Daniel says, we will at least buy an Inter Milan striker next. I reckon we will gel and the team will pull it together. That striker is meant to be the next big thing, but he was meant to be the next big thing 2 years ago. So is he...
Martinez?
Huh?
Yeah, Martinez.
No, not Martinez, man. I forgot his name now. Paliomi or something like that. but he's going to cost a lot, about 20 mil. It's going to cost about 20 mil. VFN says, roll on West Ham. That's what I want to hear. And Swervit says, give the team time to glue together. Absolutely. And Mark says, say we ain't bottom of the league. We ain't bottom of the league. Southampton are. And the league doesn't mean shit for 4 weeks. So don't look at the league until it settles down. And we'll definitely have some points on the board this coming Sunday. Guys, just to let you know what's coming up this week. So either tomorrow night or Monday, depending on what Twister schedule's looking like, as simple as is, we're going to do a whole Premier League review. We'll be looking at the predictions that we made on Friday, and we'll be looking at your guys' predictions as well. So for those of you who haven't joined the Fantasy Prediction League, not the Fantasy League, let me just give the link quickly here for you guys. So make sure you're involved in it, because we will be putting some prizes, should I say, together for it. Nicky, you got the link? I've got it here. Hold on. So let me chuck that into the chat for you guys. So guys, go set it up. It's such good fun, and it's going to be fun to see how many of you predicted the right scores and which one of you were miles and miles off it. We've also got the Fantasy League that we'll be reviewing. So all that will be encompassed within our kind of recap of the Premier League matches and how it's all gone. Tomorrow I'll have a transfer update for you guys as well, and throughout the week, and we will start the build up into the West Ham game probably Tuesday or Wednesday as well. So lots and lots to come on the channel. I want to say thank you all for chilling with us. I want to say thanks to Twist of Fate for being here and giving us his inside knowledge and opinion. Before you leave, guys, if you could just hit the like button on your way out, that would be absolutely fantastic. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Thank you all for coming on, and don't lose heart. The season still has 37 games left. We are a long, long way from being done. Remember, we were bottom of the league after 8 matches last season, and look where we ended up. Keep that thought in the back of your mind. I'll end with that positive note. And come on, you Reds. Peace.